Hi, greetings everyone. My name is Scott Olson. I'm the Director of Marketing at Trade Ideas. I am going to turn you over to Marissa to do the introductions, and we will go ahead and get started. Thank everyone for attending.
Hello everyone, my name is Marissa and I want to welcome you all to the webinar event this morning. Today you are going to be listening to Dan Merkin, CEO and Senior Partner of Trade Ideas, along with Dave Mabe, founder of StockTicker. They will be discussing the redesigned backtester OddsMaker version 3.2, and they will be showing you all useful tips on using the OddsMaker to your advantage, plus how to create winning strategies through using the OddsMaker. All attendees' microphones are muted during the presentation, so please direct your questions to the questions panel of the GoToWebinar window. Either myself, Scott, or Brad will be assisting with your questions, and we will direct the chosen questions to Dan and Dave during the second half of the webinar. Any questions that do not get answered during the webinar will be answered and emailed to you at a later time. You can feel free to email us any additional questions after the webinar. In addition, we will have a few poll questions during the webinar. You will see a window pop up on the screen, and we will ask that you just select the answer you see fit. This will allow us to better assist you and also enhance our future webinars. Thank you again for joining, and now we will begin the presentation.
Hi everyone, I want to again welcome you to the Trade Ideas webinar. We know how valuable your time is, especially during market hours, so we will work to convey our message as clearly and as quickly as possible. The purpose of this webinar, as Marissa went over, is to introduce you to a different way of looking at how money can be made in the markets. We believe this to be the next evolutionary phase of human-to-market interaction, much like email and other digital ways to communicate have replaced traditional paper and email as primary modes of communication. This can work as a complement to what you're currently doing as a trader, or as a complete rethinking of your approach to taking money out of the market. The majority of people today, and this is again close to 90%, still make trades through a methodology called discretionary trading. You see something through a service like Trade Ideas or Twitter or a chat room or a news article, you look it up on a chart and then make a decision as to place a trade or not and in what direction. Some people have gained a high level of expertise doing discretionary trading. There are many great teachers who are with us today in this webinar, and they do an amazing job of helping people get through the learning curve of figuring out what works and what does not work in the markets. What we aim to show today is a scientific, data-driven approach to making decisions for your trades. Our approach is one of probability assessment versus pattern recognition. And the idea, again, is to use all the numbers that are available to you and all the data points that are available to you through our technology to help you make the most informed decision that you can make. Before I hand over the panel to Dave Mabe, who's really going to guide you through most of the presentation and the technology, I quickly just want to point out the drawbacks and some of the pitfalls of discretionary trading which pertain to what we're going to demonstrate. Everyone is watching a window I have of several elements of Trade Ideas. One is a window of new 10-day highs on 3 times normal volume. One is 10-day lows on 3 times normal volume. And we have one window that incorporates fundamental earnings data, and then one window on a single symbol. Here, when you look up a chart of something that's making 10-day highs on 3 times normal volume, your eyes are going to tell you that this is a very good breakout. Now, of course, I'm generalizing, but the point is that all of these things look pretty good on a chart, whether it's bullish or whether it's bearish. This looks like a breakdown, and this looks like a breakout. And again, same thing with the fundamental data. The real question is, how do you know what happens after the fact? Or what are your odds of success on any trade that you're going to make based on this visual data? So without further ado, I'm going to hand over the presentation to Dave Mabe, who is the founder of StockTicker and is one of our key researchers at Trade Ideas, who will guide you through the rest of the presentation on how the actual software works and how you can take advantage of it.
Okay, thanks, Dan. Let me share my appropriate screen here. Okay, the first thing I want to show you is just a little bit more motivation for using the OddsMaker and what a backtesting tool can tell you. So this is an actual trade that I made on May 7th in CTSH. So here's where I entered the trade, here's where my stop was, and here's where I exited the trade. So at first glance, you look at this, and it looks like a pretty good trade. I made 4 times what I was initially risking. But if you look at it further, you see that I actually left a lot of money on the table here. If I would have held throughout the day, I would have made quite a bit more money. And as a trader, it's difficult to make these decisions. It's always easy to go back and look at a chart and see exactly what the optimal point to exit a trade was. But because I've used backtesting and looked at trading from a data point of view, I know that this is the optimal point for me to get out of my trades. Because if you look at this other trade that I made, you'll see that were I to have waited and traded, waited in this trade to the end of the day, I would have actually lost money. So I know there's plenty of trades like this, and I know that this is the optimal place, even though there will be some trades like this where I will make more money. And that's the kind of information and confidence that a tool like Trade Ideas and the OddsMaker can give you. So let me go through the OddsMaker and show you exactly what we're talking about here. So here is an alert strategy that shows stocks making new highs on strong relative volume. So let's run the OddsMaker for this strategy. So what the OddsMaker allows you to do is, for every alert that comes in this alert window, simulate a trade in this way. So what this configuration screen is saying is, when an alert comes in this window, if it's after 10 a.m. Eastern and before 2 p.m., let's initiate a trade in that stock. And you have control over when you exit the trade. You can trade a certain number of minutes after the entry, a certain time of day, or you can even hold for many days, in fact, up to 30 days of hold time. So I'm just going to simulate holding until the end of the day, so we're going to exit at the end of the day. You have options here for using a profit target or a stop loss, and there's some advanced options that you can show and have more control over these trades. What I'm just going to show is no profit target, no stop loss, and just holding to the end of the day. So let's simulate a buy here. So it's crunching through each of those trades and figuring out what would have happened were you to have initiated a trade for each one of those events. And the results screen here is very much improved from previous versions of the OddsMaker. So right away, your eyes are immediately drawn to this equity curve. And the equity curve is such an important metric when evaluating trading systems, because you don't want to look at, for example, the total amount of money you made throughout this period. That is a factor, but the equity curve can show you the dips and the actual pain that you would feel when you have losses. So you can immediately see how these trades are going to play out. You like to have an equity curve that's obviously pretty much a 45-degree straight angle. So the closer you can get to that, the better. You can adjust these numbers. So it's this starting equity is saying, okay, my starting equity for the account, were I to have traded this, let's simulate it at $50,000. And you can adjust that, and these numbers will adjust on the equity curve. You can adjust share size, so you can simulate a different share size for these trades. You can simulate a different commission, and you can see the equity curve adjust accordingly. And there's a field here for slippage. So slippage is when you want to get in a trade at a certain price, but because of market conditions and other things, you don't get in until a slightly worse price. The difference between what you wanted to get in and what you actually got in for a trade is slippage. And it can have, for certain strategies, it can have a devastating effect on your results. So it's something you definitely want to be able to measure and estimate and see how it's going to affect the trades. So you can adjust that here and see the equity curve adjust automatically. You can click here and see the drawdown. So this is the max drawdown percent for trades in this system. And then you can look at a buying power graph which shows the maximum buying power required at different levels. Here's a calendar view that shows how many trades you took and how successful those trades were by day. So you can hover your mouse over and see some more statistics about the particular day, and you can see on the equity curve that those days are highlighted on the equity curve. There's an expanded calendar view here that gives you more details. So you can see the actual trades that occurred on that particular day. And if you double click, you can see the actual trades that occurred, the entry price, the exit price, the times that you entered, the symbols, and any number of criteria that you want to see about those trades. Let's go to the optimization tab. So this tab allows you to look at various criteria and see how that criteria affects the system. So I'm gonna actually just tab through these to show you the different fields. We're going to go into more details in a minute on each one of these. So we have cherry-picked some of the most useful filters here, and the ones that we know that users get the most use out of when they're using the OddsMaker. And that is the time of day and the price are the two main ones. So as you see here for time of day, here are trades that were initiated between 10 a.m. and 10:29, and here's how they performed. 10:30 to 10:59, here's how they performed. And they're color-coded, so you're immediately drawn to the areas that were more successful or less successful. And again, here you can double-click on a particular row and see exactly those trades that correspond to that row. Okay, so this is a strategy that it's basically the end result of what we're going to show today. So let me go and show you a strategy that, or the initial strategy that I used to create this. So let's bring this other window here. So this is the initial strategy I used when I started doing my testing. So let's look at the OddsMaker for this strategy. Okay, so you'll notice that the equity curve looks much worse than the previous strategy that I showed. So let's take a look at this and see how we can improve this strategy. So notice there's 1,500 trades over a period of 30 days. Well, that's a lot of trades no matter how frequently you trade. So let's take a look at the optimization tab and see where we can improve these numbers. So here, let's look at the price tab and look here and see that, well, the first thing I notice is that there's some large price stocks here that are potentially skewing the results. So what I want to do is, first of all, I'm going to get rid of some of these large price stocks that sometimes act differently than other price stocks. So what I'm going to do is duplicate this window, and let's configure this, and let's put a max price of $100. And let's give this a unique name so we can keep track of these as we go on here. Okay, so now we've made that change. Let's look at the OddsMaker again. And again, we're going to run the exact same scenario, so the same entry and exit criteria. Let's see how this looks. So still poor, but slightly better, as you can see, slightly better. So we're moving in the right direction here. So let's take a look at the optimization tab on these results and see where there's a place to improve this. So let's go to the Other Filters tab. What the Other Filters tab shows is every filter that you've added to your view within the alert window. So if I expand this, there's several filters that I'm showing here. Some are related to fundamentals. Some are related to daily data. Here's the daily RSI. This is the position in the lifetime range. Some of these you'll be interested in as an intraday trader. Some of these you'll be interested in as a swing trader. So there are hundreds of filters you can add here, and you can choose what you're interested in. And then when you do that, when you run the OddsMaker, those will appear on the Other Filters tab, and you can report on those. So let's close this and go back to my OddsMaker window. So let's look at the up percent, up 30-minute percent. So what this is it's a filter that shows how much this stock has been up in the last 30 minutes in the form of a percent. So you can see already that there's a lot of red outside of this one area. So it looks like there might be a good point to filter out a bunch of losing trades. And you can adjust this value here, and these fields adjust. And you can, a lot of times, see you'll have one row here with several trades, 955, and then others with some outliers with a very small number of trades. You can use this to get rid of those rows. So immediately you'll see that, okay, there's one row here that has a lot of trades, and they're significantly better than most of the other rows. This one has a little bit better profit factor, but there's only 21 trades in that subset. So let's go back and, again, make a duplicate of this window. And let me move some of these windows off the screen. So it looks to me like if we filter on up 30-minute percent less than 2, these results would be improved. So I'm going to go back into the strategy and make that change. This will be version 1.2. All right, so let's run the OddsMaker again and see how these trades look. So again, the exact same settings. And we're comparing against this. So this is the old one, and this, let's see what the new one looks like. So already significantly better. So with this, the old one, there were 1,487 trades. The new one, there's 1,100 trades. Still a lot of trades, but already you can see that these trades are getting more profitable. So let's look at this and see if we can improve this further. So again, let's go to the Optimization tab, go to the Other Filters tab, and the next one I'm looking for is SPY up today. So this is the next one I looked at. And what this is saying is, at the time of the alert, how much was the SPY up in percentage terms for today? So the S&P. And so that's a good barometer for the overall market. So let's adjust this. So already you can see that, okay, everything above here in general looks pretty green. Everything below here in general looks pretty red. So this looks like a pretty obvious point to improve this strategy. So let's use 0.2 for the value when we make a change to this strategy. So let's duplicate this window. Go back in and set the filters. So we should get a smaller number of trades still here after we make this change. So again, here's the S&P up today, and we're going to make that 0.2, which corresponds to what we saw here. Let's call that 1.3. All right, so let's run the OddsMaker again. Again, the same configuration, and we'll simulate a buy. So here's what we're comparing against. Okay, so you can see even at this point, even with commission and slippage, we're slightly profitable. So we're still going in the right direction. And still a lot of trades here, 600 and over 600 trades. So we're heading in the right direction. Let's look and see if we can improve it still. All right, let's go back in and look at some more filters. Okay, now I want to look at the position in lifetime range. So what this is saying is, at the point that the alert occurred, at what point within the range of the stock's entire lifetime of trading history, at what point on that spectrum is the current price? So closer to 100 would be it's never been higher than it is now. Closer to 0 would be it's close to its lows over its lifetime. So as you can see here, again, it's pretty obvious that things greater than 50% are performing better. And that's pretty easy to see here. So let's go back to our strategy and let's look at stocks that have a lifetime, or the position that a lifetime range is greater than 50%. So we're going to put a min value of 50. And let's run the OddsMaker again, the exact same settings. Again, this is our reference point now. Okay, so still better. That equity curve is still looking better. So one thing you'll notice is, at first glance, the equity curve looks about the same, or not hugely different. But what you notice is there's about a third of the trades here, and you're making roughly the same money. So that's good news. And our win rate's gone up, our number of trades is now getting manageable, and the profit factor is improving. All right, so let's look at one more iteration here. Go to the optimization tab, and let's look for another criteria to use. So if you look at the up 1 minute in terms of dollars, so this is saying how much was the stock up during the last minute. And if you can look here, and what we're comparing to, if you look at the profit factor, the profit factor for this system so far is 2.3. So anything that's less than that looks like it would be a good way to get rid of some poorer trades. So this whole block here of 188 trades is less than the average. So that's a big block. It looks like everything above that is an improvement. Let's look at, let's adjust this a little bit. So yeah, you can see that there is a certain point here where we can even go further. where trades above this level are good and trades below it look poor. So it looks actually like somewhere around 0.12. So above 0.12, looks like these trades look better than the ones below it. So let's take a look and modify the strategy one more time. So up 1 minute, we want to be greater than 0.12. Again, let's run the OddsMaker one last time. So this one looks vastly better. So still fewer trades. We cut the number of trades more than half, and the trades are much improved. So the thing I like about the OddsMaker is you can, while you don't necessarily have to follow each trade to a T from the simulation, you can at least look and see, okay, am I at least trading with an edge? And it really pays to be able to look at hard numbers and see that, okay, yes, I am trading with an edge here. I know that if I follow this even loosely, I know that at least I have the wind at my back when I trade. And this is perfect for no matter what type of trader you are, intraday, swing trader. It always pays to do research like this and figure out what's going to work for you over a large number of your trades. So with that, I'm going to send it back to Scott, and we can field questions.
Thank you, Dave. If anyone has additional questions, please feel free to type those into the questions panel. Marissa, did you notice any questions that you'd like to highlight?
Yes, there are a few questions here. Cash Coin asked, how can you adjust both share size and starting equity, and wouldn't they be dependent on each other?
You can adjust both of these. So if you'll notice, buying power required here is not editable, and you can adjust these numbers to reflect your share size. So if you bump the share size up to 200, you'll see that the buying power required jumped up. And in fact, you'll make this large enough, and the starting equity goes red. And what that means is, for this strategy, you're going to need more than $52,000 in your account to trade it, because you're going to run out of buying power. So you can either add more to your starting equity here, and then at some point it goes back to normal. Because at this point, this number times 4 is less than the buying power required. That's a good question.
Yeah, thank you. Just a quick poll question before I have Marissa follow up with the next question. I noticed that that quite a few of you have followed up with some questions since we finished the prezo, but if you could all take a quick opportunity to just rank yourself as what type of trader are you? Are you an advanced, intermediate, beginner? You know, have you been in the game for a long time, or are you new to it? Leave this open for a minute, and then go ahead and close that, and we'll go to the next one. I'll show the results at the end of the presentation's question and answer period. All right, thank you. Okay, Marissa?
Okay. Let's see. Marcel Chamowitz wants to know, can we get to the trading strategies? I guess the ones that you're using.
Yeah, I think we could do that. If you follow our blog, we occasionally post strategies, and I think we can post something related to this in that area, I believe.
Okay. Let's see. Wei Chu wants to know if the OddsMaker can do a walk-forward analysis or split the history, 2/3 for a fitting model, 1/3 for walk-forward, etc.
It can't do that at this point, but you can save the detailed results so you can get all these trades in a CSV format so that you can look at the trades in a more detailed way.
Okay. Brian Cohen wants to know if they can test over a longer time period, such as 6 months to a year.
At this point, 30 days is the max. But again, what we have some people doing to sort of get around that limitation is saving the results and then combining them over time. So over time, you would get, as time goes on, you would have a larger subset of trades to look at.
Okay. Barry Einerson wants to know if he can input a single symbol and get the odds of a stock being at a certain price by the end of the day.